Hi. Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Kai Schulin project. Last time we got a lot of this. We finally got the legs kind of going down here. Let me turn that down so you can see. So we're finally no longer white on the bottom. We got the blacks on. We're mostly kind of done with the portion here until we cover it all up with this later on. But that's going to come later on. Today, today I'm kind of looking at more of. I just knocked over half my paints. Today I'm kind of looking a little more towards getting a lot of the hodgepodge stuff done and out of the way, just kind of finish this area. So what that's going to include is I want to get kind of the tops of the knee pads done. Need to get the rest of the arm here done. I want to get kind of these brass fittings on the side, like little buttons, the loops, the chest guard, all that. I finally want to put irises into her pupils in the eyes so she doesn't look like a demon when you take the hat off there. You can actually make it feel a little more real. And then that's probably as far as this session's going to go. The next time I can come put the colors on the hat, which I don't want to do yet. Well, I do want to do, but the hat is the same color as one of the two on the camouflage. The tan on here is the same as the tan on there. The red on the side is the same as the red on the chevrons here. So the hat's going to be kind of a transition from this area to this. So we're going to have a white hat for a little while longer. Not that much. We're kind of getting to that point. And then at some other point in time, remember, we still have things like the rifle to do. I still have the pouches to do. I still have the knife. I still have a bunch of these kind of little things. Although I might actually get to this. This just uses the black and the brass color. So I might actually get this one done. The other pieces require elements that aren't on here, so I need to mix different colors for. But this guy I can actually, the ammo belt, I could actually do. So yeah, let's go get ourselves kind of set up here. Then let's do it. Let's see, you come down here. Hi. That's Kai. Kai says hi. All right, let's get ourselves set up. All right. It's been a day. We're now after Halloween, so let me make sure I'm kind of in a place where I can do whatever it is I want to do. Ugh. Okay, so if I take you out, I get the cord from this out of... Oh, the cord from that is not helping things. How about if I do this, twist you, and does that get the cord out of the way? Little? Okay, so if I'm here, and I'm... Why was the cord not a problem before on this, and it all of a sudden is now? I haven't changed my setup. This is the same as the last several times. Alright, so if I'm here, we're on camera, I can do stuff. Okay, so if we go and look at Kai's eyes, which do I have a close-up on here? That's very much not going to help. That doesn't help. That kind of does. That kind of, well, apologies for that. I know I used to have the nice up-close face image on here. I've since deleted a number of things because my OBS is getting overrun with images. She has very hazel kind of eyes, so they're like mine. They're very similar to mine. They're hazel in color. You're sitting on the knife. The rest of the model's sitting on the knife. So I have the original color I used kind of for the gray pants here, which I still haven't actually touched up the pants. I have 2 coats on everything else. I haven't touched up where the black is going to hit the pants. But the original kind of non-color I used on that is going to be really close enough to that hazel look that I'm just going to use that as the color. And then we're going to go from there. But this should help. I need to take the glasses off because this I do need to actually look at. But this should help to... Hey, let's see if we're still... Oh yeah, we're still viable. We haven't touched this stuff in like a week and a half. It is still viable. But this will give something to kind of rest the eyes on, which will be good. At least when you're looking at the model, it gives something to rest the eyes on. Other just looks like demon eyes in here, and that's not ideal. And also of this pack of the 50 brushes that I got for like $5, you'd be surprised that vast majority of them are not very good for cutting in, but I actually have one here that actually seems like it can work for this. And this is also one of those details where we want to have a very good model because the brush is getting stuck on little kind of detail things I don't want it getting stuck on. Okay, already this looks a lot better. There's not even a pupil in here. And yeah. I also gave myself some fresh water too, so I can actually clean things out a little nicer than I could before, which is kinda great. Let me just give myself a chance to concentrate here real quick, then we can get into whatever discussion I didn't pre-plan myself to have once again, because I am bad. Sometimes I come with like loads of things I want to say, like, oh, this, that, the other just happened, and sometimes I just don't. And considering last night was Halloween, and for you guys watching this, Halloween was a week ago, that becomes slightly awkward conversation starter. Even though we had a kind of a little bit of a weird setback during the event, which, hey, look at that, we have eyes, awesome. Okay, let's go and clean that out. Yeah, so I'll get to our Halloween shenanigans in just a second. Let me get this stuff off of here, although there wasn't that much that's on it in the first place. Get my watch out of the way. Save this brush for when I need to really do kind of fine cut-in lines or whatnot, because you're actually pretty good at that, and I don't want to ruin the bristles on anything. So let's see, let's get you out of the way. Let's get my hat out of the way. What do I want to start on? You know what? I might as well get these guys done. They're really quick. They're short. They're the only things I don't have the quote-unquote light black on. Which again, I kind of want to change that color. It just looks too pristine. That's this one. And just because of that, I kind of want to tone it. I think it matches this image not too badly. It's a little darker than what is shown on that one, but it is definitely much, much darker than is shown as here, or especially here. So like I said, I think I'm going to tone down those blacks just a little bit in the end. But even so, I'm going to get everything the same first coat, so we have something ideal, or something kind of... I'm starting from the same point in all of them. And you can even see this starts out very kind of light black on here. You can see kind of the light hitting it. So that's what I was thinking it would turn into, but it dried a whole lot darker. So we do have that. So that's part of the trick of making your own kind of custom mixes, is keeping in mind things don't necessarily dry the same color they start out as. Which, in my job, if I'm painting rooms and ceilings and whatnot, that's awesome. It makes life super nice for the first cut in, not so much, but the first coat, not so much. When we start doing second coats, that makes life so much easier. You can 100% know where you've done and where you haven't done, because what you just paint on the second coat is now a different color than what it hardens as. But when it comes to trying to pick out a color, such as this, or make my own custom colors, which I do a lot of, because I have a better ease of trying to get a particular shade that I may want that may not be available in a store, and B, it's just cheaper. If I have to buy every single color I need in the store, remember these are about $1 a piece to get, or it's either like 80 cents or $1 a piece, depending what it is. The mattes are cheaper. I know the metallics are more. I think the satins are also cheaper. So it's really just the metallics you have to pay more for. But if I'm using, say, 10 different colors on a model, that's going to be an extra $10 I don't want to spend. So I have more options when I make my own, and it's cheaper. So works out better that way. It's like cooking. You can get more bang for the buck if you just buy raw ingredients and cook something yourself than if you just buy ready-made meals and whatnot. It's just, you have greater ability to have specifically exactly what you want, and it just, yeah, in the end, you don't pay as much. So, win-win. Okay, that was really easy. The back side's going to be the dark black, which I'll get to later on. But I think I want to get the brass first, just so in case something happens, something goes terribly wrong, things take way longer than I think, we're going to get a new element done and not just do the other arm. So let's go and figure out that brass once I dry this off and get the paint off of it. That said, whenever I use a brush on camera, I tend to not reuse the same one during a session. I don't think I've actually ever reused the same brush twice during a session. That way I let it dry out completely. So, actually I can just bring you over. If we're going to be doing the brass parts, let's say the chest plate's the big one, but we have all of the belts, the buckles, and kind of these little things, the zipper. We have those things that are going to come with it. All right, arms are off. Let's bring you down too. So I'm effectively going to be using, I believe, 3 different colors for this. So we're going to, the main one we're going to have is a metallic gold on top. This is what's going to give it that really good shine and make it feel right. Now, what I found out when I was doing Kat's model, my very first one I painted, because she has the gold kind of filigree that kind of wraps around and does whatever it does. This essentially is kind of like almost a whitewash kind of image, kind of paint with like flecks of the gold in there. So if I were to just paint this straight off with this, it's not going to look good. It looks terrible. So if I ever want to use these metallic gold, I haven't had the same issue on the other metallics, but the metallic gold in particular, I want to have an undercoat that's roughly the same color I want, and then this just adds the shine to it. So the undercoat is primarily going to be this gold ochre, but this is not an image that's going to be super helpful. That's not going to be super helpful. Well, that's better. You can see this, whoop, where are we, is much darker than what that's going to be. You can see the chest plate there is so much lighter on that image in here. So we're going to add some white to this and try to tamp that down, try to get a lot of that shine out of here. And then we're just going to make it shiny with that. So we're going to see if we can get into our custom colors and try to get this right. And I do have a mixing stick this time. Yay me. All right, I didn't actually shake these guys beforehand. So let's do this right now. And again, this will be a first coat. The second, so I might not add the shine this time, so I probably need to get 2 coats on. Actually, I don't open the top. We're mixing colors. We're mixing colors. No, get my brain around this. Get my brain around what we're doing. Okay, there's not much gold in here. That's going to be, that should be plenty of paint. And let's add just a little more, just so I don't want to dip the brush in too far into that. And let's see if we can lighten this up. Now, I know black tends to be very powerful when you add it to, so I don't want to go too far on the white, because the white might just be the same. But we want kind of just a very kind of pale gold. And that's getting better, but I think we're going to need a lot of white in this. Never mind. We're going to need a lot of white in this to tamp it down. Yeah, that's starting to look pretty good. That's starting to look pretty good. I like that. It's much, I don't know if we can tell. Whoop, where am I? Kind of something like that. If I tilt the clip over too much, you start seeing the shadow, but I think our base coat can be somewhere in here. Now this is a satin on its own. It will shine on its own, but we want this to shine more than like the leather stuff that she has on. So to make that work, we're still gonna add the other part after it. Let's not wipe that on things. Okay, let's start with the easy, or the not the easy stuff. It's actually kind of the harder stuff. Start with the smaller things first and work our way towards. All right, now I'm on camera. Double check. You can see what I'm doing. Yes. Now I did everything on the bottom here black. I shouldn't have done that because we have buckles right in here that I didn't take into account. So again, while this brush is still really, really good, we're going to do some of these detail things. So yeah, Halloween was last night, and it was great. Got home actually a little bit early from work. Definitely got there before everything kind of started, which was nice and good. So got all the candy out, which we had 6 bags of candy, and we wound up with 3 pieces left in the end. So between the random kids who go and just like grab, there's always one or two who goes and grabs like a handful, and they're gone before you can say anything. And people who take 2 or people who take 1, depending who they are. I don't. If they take 2, that's fine. So I don't oppose any of that. But yeah, in the end, our quantity wound up being really good. Unfortunately, when we saw the first group of kids kind of came around, it was like maybe 5 or 6 I saw kind of walk up to the front door. And they kind of walk up, they get on the stoop. I see them kind of stand there, and then they walk away. I'm like, well, okay, that's interesting. And then maybe like a minute or two later, there was like a single kid kind of came up, did the same thing, kind of walked up and walked away. I'm like, wait, what's happening? I'm really confused at this point. I'm like, we're here. You can ring the bell. So I go outside and I ring our doorbell. Our doorbell is broken. It was working last week. We had political people pop in and go, "Hey, vote for me" last week. So it was working a week ago. But yeah, on Halloween, our doorbell didn't work. So I made a quick fix, got everything nice. I made a little sign and taped it to my front door saying, "Please knock." But like, of all the days in the year to have that particular item break down, it's one of those. I live in an apartment too, so there's only so much I can do. I'm a like I said, I'm a builder. I can figure out how to fix this type of thing. I know I open the doorbell thing up. I kind of look at the chimes. All the pieces are there. You can when you hit it, you can hear the electricity getting to the thing. So I think it just needs like a little WD-40 in there to kind of solve it. But at the same time, because it's an apartment, I'm kind of discouraged from fixing stuff myself. If I were at a house, heck yes, I'd be taking things apart and doing it. But just because it's not technically my property, it's the property of the guys who actually own it, and I'm just renting it. I'm kind of discouraged from doing that. So come once the weekend is over and their office is open, they're gonna get a phone call saying, "Dumb problem we just had this weekend, but yeah, on Halloween, guess what went wrong?" No, it was good. Had a good turnout of kids this time. Again, I think when we first moved into the place, we used to have like the mega groups that would come by. It'd be like 20 some kids would come by, and like there'd be probably 2 or 3 kind of mega, just roving mobs like that would come through. And those have largely disappeared. I think the largest group we had was about 10 kids this time, and all the rest were generally 5 or below. I think there are probably a couple like 7-ish kind of, but generally speaking, they were smaller groups. They're less outright individuals. I feel like last year had a lot of the super young kids who were there. This time, not as much, who are just kind of there with their parents who have no idea what's going on. They're always the fun ones, but yeah, I didn't really have any standout costumes though. A lot of it was kind of standard fare, but I still like the energy. Kind of grew up in the woods, so I enjoy seeing this energy of all the kids about doing their thing. Okay, this does not have shine to it, and that is, it looks kind of wrong like right now just because it doesn't have that shine, but when we get to adding the shine, I'll probably do the shine part first thing of next time. I'll do a second coat on this probably off camera, and then first thing next time before we get into the nitty gritty stuff, I'll add the shine too. Because that one might be nice to actually add on camera, because that will likely add a little extra something to it. Although I'm not really sure how fast that does work, whether it wants to dry out first or not. It's been a while since I've done that. Although I think Bang did have brass stuff somewhere. I think he had shine somewhere. I have to look at that model again. I'd look at the videos, but the videos aren't on my computer anymore, so that's kind of difficult. I have them saved to external hard drives, but they're no longer on my actual computers, either laptop or desktop, just because everything takes up space, and space is a premium for my very, very old computers. Well, I guess my laptop's not old, but it's a laptop, so space is just a premium just because. Oh, trying to see what's white versus what's gold. That is the actual trick. And I am holding this thing 100% wrong. But this is nice getting at least a little more variation here. Anytime the white comes off of this, I feel like it just looks better. And this is the buckle this is the one piece, the whatever, that I'd started painting black the one time before realizing, oh crap, don't do that. There we go. But yeah, no, I think this is just one of those good days. Get all these little things kind of done, and then that'll open up the way for next time to actually make some legitimate progress again. Although now I'm trying to think. This is probably session 6 or so of painting, whether or not you count priming or whatnot. Plus, I've had 4 coats or 4 hours of painting off camera, doing second coats, third coats, fourth coats on the reds and every other color that's on here. So this is going to turn into a fairly beefy painting process on this model. But there is so much cutting in involved. And I haven't even gotten to the camouflage part. So that whole 10-hour estimate is 100% out the window. This is like altogether different than the other models I've done when it comes to painting. I also feel like I'm taking more time doing some of this cut-in stuff than I was before. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to hit everything I can on a first go here. And yeah, it just takes a while. But that's cool. I'm still trying, being as now it's a Saturday. I think this goes out next Saturday. It also goes out on a Saturday, so I'm a week ahead. I'm trying to get myself even further ahead, so I'm hoping to get a lot of this done this weekend, just so I can then give myself time to maybe I can take a little time off after that between this and the next project. I still have to 100% figure out how to physically do the next project, so I want to have a little time set aside to that. Just, yeah, for pre-planning kind of phase. And I'm also just kind of at that point where, again, I just want to see what this looks like in the end. We're close enough that I just want to see it done. There is no other special reason past that. I just want to say, yeah, this looks awesome. And just be there. It can join my other models. Although I am mentally preparing myself for doing this, getting like the next session done, having this all look nice, good, and finished, and all of that. And then getting to the next part, and it just falls apart because then I need to do the camouflage, and that's going to, cover up a lot of this. and B, we're going to be starting from a point that it doesn't look very good again, because that camouflage is going to take several coats and a lot of work to get right. But at the same time, I can then make a choice when I come to displaying stuff if I want to display her with the camouflage on or with the camouflage off. But I am slightly mentally preparing myself for the overall look to go downhill a little bit when I throw that camo back on here again. So it's one of those, be mentally prepared. It's like the video game industry. Video game industry, you did the Atari days, everything was super rough. You got to the NES kind of days, everything started looking a little better. You got to like the Super Nintendo, Genesis stuff, everything started looking freaking amazing. And then you got to the 3D like N64 PlayStation era, and all graphics just went downhill, blockiness, and it looked terrible. And it took several generations of consoles before things kind of came back again and started looking good again. But this is going to be kind of the same thing. We're going to be looking really good right now with all this being good, done, in, finished. And then we have to get to the camo, which covers it all up. So, same kind of process is going to be going through. But no, I am kind of looking forward to the next session, trying to see if I can take some of the newness out of here. Part of the reason I want to do this is I want to open the door. I could just do some washes over everything to kind of make it look grittier or whatnot, or I might just need to repaint with a different color altogether. I'm not 100% sure how I want to tackle it. So that's why I'm doing this part first. So if I do some washes to kind of cover all the stuff, everything will get aged evenly with each other. So if you want to see how washes are done, you can look at the final bang image, or the final bang whatever project session that I did. Not the video game playing one, but the one where I was doing the bass. Because the bass had to deal with a lot of washes going over that to get that cobblestone looking right. So if I do that, it might be that kind of technique being used, just to kind of add some more grit, some more kind of dust, some more of that stuff kind of to it. But we getting there. How are we doing? What are we on time right now? Okay, about a half hour. Which means we will have time to get at least this part done. And I'm almost at the opinion of if I don't get the arm done first coat, I'm almost not opposed to just doing that off camera. You saw me do the other arm. You know how long that took if you watched that part of me doing the other arm. The video does exist. That I could do that one off camera just so we can kind of cross this part off the list and really open the door to next session. So I think, yeah, no matter what, all this stuff is going to be done and ready for next session to try to age things a little, and dirty things up. Plus, I'm going to need some time. I'm going to be spending some time also doing some finer cut-ins. I can see I'm getting some of the gold on the black. I know I've got some of the black on the gray. I haven't done that kind of cut-in stuff yet to kind of fix those areas, but I will probably do that off camera after this session as well. And then just like this one, I can then give you a heads up how long it takes just so you get an idea of time frames. I'm really curious how long this whole painting process is going to take, because this one's already has so much more cut in than the others that for my own knowledge going forward, if I want to make estimates on how things are, because this estimate I got was so far off base. Like, oh yeah, it's going to take 10 hours for painting. It's like, no, I'm already at 10 hours of painting, or I will be at the end of this session, approximately, and we are not near done. There is so much more other stuff to do. So much more other stuff. Come on, get in there. I see a little black where I don't want to see black, and I see white where I don't want to see white. Definitely don't want to see white. Arg. There's always something else to cover. Okay, I think we got inside that. Coming around. That's right, we're almost at the main event of that chest guard. It's coming. Just give it a little bit of time. I'm only saying that's the main event because that's the single biggest area of this that needs to be done. So theoretically that makes the biggest difference. Not sure that's 100% true. Sometimes little things do just kind of make something pop. But I feel like a lot of these things, a lot of these kind of cut in detail things I'm doing on camera are not being done particularly well, and I'm fixing a lot of stuff off camera already. But I'm sorry about that. Maybe it's just because I know the camera is there and I need to actually have this thing facing certain directions as I do stuff so you can see things too. That some of these are a little bit rough, but it just is. And again, I am fixing things as we go. I don't want to let these things kind of fester for too long being in a not so great space. Alright, almost through this hoop. And that one's not too bad. I got a little triangle-y piece here. I will say the nice thing with painting these things though is I don't need to move the camera around. Anytime I'm modeling, it's like, oh, I'm holding something here, holding something there. I need to move the camera. I forget to move the camera. At least here, you are where you are. I don't need to move that around. It makes life a little bit easier on my part. I feel like some things you can see very easily and some things I'm doing you probably can't, but that's, again, part of the process. Okay. Main belt, or main buckle here should be a little bit easier. Alright, come on, get in, be good. Be good. Alright, almost got it. Yep, that's in. Got there, that's that final piece. And I just need to get the side of the buckle there where it hits the black. And then get the gold all over the black and have to touch it up. Okay, so that's kind of nifty. Let's put the glasses on, can we see? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to set you aside real quick. Get in the holes. There we go. All right. Now we're up to you. Let's do, just to drag it out a little more, let's go and do the little stuff first. I still have to deal with that. I haven't gone back and shaved the inside of the camo that much yet. So that's still on my list of things to kind of do. But I'm not really worried about the camo at this point. And at the end, it's really not that much stuff that's rubbing. It's just that little part there. Chest guard, the chest part's going to be the trick. I really don't want that to rub. But there's a little spot on the arm and the spot in the back I'm not too concerned with. Because they're not super visible. But if this part continues to rub, that's going to be very visible. So would like to at least iron that out. All right, top of the zipper, which once again, there's probably a word to what that part's called, and I've not looked it up since I first mentioned that part. And judging from lack of comments from whenever that discussion was had, I'm sure nobody else knows the word to it either. So it's good to not be alone in that. It's just good to not be alone in that little fact that we're all kind of ignorant of some things. All right, 3 more elements. Yeah, it just feels like I didn't think painting was going to be that bad on this one, but it just wound up being so much more cutting in than I'd first thought. But it's not like it's bad, it just becomes taking a little more time than I had a lot more time than I'd kind of originally mentally prepared for it. And that's the thing with like a lot of these kind of modeling and painting things, nothing's necessarily hard per se. Everything's kind of, generally speaking, it's all kind of equal in the end. You're just applying different skill sets, different things. It's just things take longer or shorter depending on what we're working on. Which I'm going to need to remind myself that for the next model. Nothing's harder. It just certain elements may take longer. Certain elements on that are definitely going to be shorter than I otherwise do, or otherwise I'm used to. I just need to kind of get my head around that. And that's a lot of that one's going to come down to translation. How do I translate artwork based on really pure emotion into a tactile image, or a tactile, well, not really image, but a tactile element thing, whatever. Okay, now we get to main event, where it becomes a little easier to cut things in and not worry about getting paint everywhere. That's the important part of it. I can do things, I can make progress a little quicker. That's what I'm defining as easier here, just faster progress. This is looking very yellow. I actually might need a little more white in here when I do the next coat. This is looking very, very yellow. I kind of want it paler. But I'll see how it dries. Like I said, next coat's going to be off camera. And I think I'm going to be adding a little more white to it. Tone this down a little more. Try to get that right. Because although at the same time, everything else has come out darker than I thought it would. So maybe this being darker will match the other colors I have. Again, I know when I did the Bang model, the colors necessarily weren't really right. They're definitely darker than especially the green was darker than the inspiration image, the concept art I was kind of going off of. So if everything is darker on here, that means it might actually all work out together in the end. So maybe it's not something I worry about. We'll see. I'll see how it dries. If it looks like it warrants change, then I'll change it. If it doesn't look like it warrants change, it looks like it all works, I'll keep it the same, and then we'll get to a point where we figure out how to age this thing, which will be next session. Then we'll just do it. Okay, the only problem with doing these big areas is you can see how blotchy everything is. When you're doing kind of small stuff, blotchiness kind of hides itself a little bit. I'm definitely seeing when I go to brush a larger space, everything gets blotchy. All right. I just need to cut in around this black just a little bit here. Help make that strap look good. Realize this is incredibly blotchy. But that's just kind of the way that is. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely a little darker than I was planning on it being, but we getting there. And you know what, while I have this out, what do we have in time? 41 minutes. I can get some of this ammo stuff going as well, because I have this. Plus, if I get something done, it gives me something I can grab for when I do the black. Plus, I can at least get one of these side things kind of crossed off the list. Right now, I have no side thing really crossed off the list, so it'd be good to get some. Well, knee pads are almost there. Of the 14 elements I have to do here, 2 of them are knee pads, and they're just about done. Just need a second coat of that light, age them a little bit, put a coat on the back, and they're there. So, but yeah, no, at this point it would be nice, again, it's been like 6 sessions or so that I'm on here. It'd be nice to cross something off the list and just say, all right, this thing, whatever it is, part A at least is done. A, B, C, whatever. Whatever part it is, something is done. I want to feel accomplished. Go put something aside. Hat's not too far. Yeah, a lot of things really aren't too far. Actually, the legs are just about done. Again, all they're going to need is finishing off this gold and aging it, and they're going to be finished. And that's probably the single, outside of the camo part, that's probably the single biggest element. But at least now, each day I'm doing this, I'm doing something that's super visible. I think ever since that one episode, it was like the second episode of painting or whatever, where I just kind of did like the trim work on the hat and the camo stuff and didn't really feel like in second coats on certain things where it didn't really feel like much was accomplished. I feel like every episode since then, at least something looks like and or feels like it was accomplished. So in that regard, I'm happy. But it would be nice to not just have something accomplished, but something finished. They're 2 different things. And wouldn't mind having that feeling. Also, I should have done the black first, because I have to get black into some really unfortunate places. So we're going to be having a number of... I might just do the black on this off camera as well. There's not much that's going to be gained from watching me paint that part. And I can let you know how it goes, say, next session. So, it's maybe a Saturday. Usually on Saturdays and Sundays, when I get like 2 sessions of this done. But I think it's going to be just probably this session and a lot of back of house stuff again to kind of get things looking good. And then maybe get the double session next time, or... because I do need to set some time aside to like do the touch-ups on like where the black hit the gray kind of pants, or where the gold now hit the black stuff. I do have to do a good session of just those kinds of touch-ups, and that I 100% don't want to do on camera. That would be boring as heck for you. It's not going to showcase much. You're not going to see much in the end when I pull a camera away. It's not good made for TV, computer, phone stuff. I'm seeing white. I think it's white. It could just be shine. It could just be shine from fresh paint. All right, so we now have bullets on that. Da 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 da. Get the glasses on. You can see kind of this up against that's not helping things. Or this, you might be able to see it a little better. But let me go and put that. That gets put back whoop, over here. Yeah, you can hang out. Yeah, I got the gray on that was wrong. The gray on that is actually the tan from this and the tan from the hat. So, going to need to figure that out first. Where's a little baggie? All right, I'm just putting the gold paint in a bag here. Give me 1 second. Let's wash you out. Okay, that's washed. That's good. Getting these things out of the way. What time are we? We are 46. Is it worth doing the black on? Worth doing the black on here? Maybe. That's not the black. That's the black. I do keep my two blacks separate from each other, so that much is good. All right, do I have a good brush, bad brush? You have been used for black before. So this way, at least if I put this thing together, it'll look like it's all kind of done. I'm not sure you need to see me do this part, but again, it will look like at least everything is kind of done. Am I on camera? I'm going to go down just a little bit. That's more on camera. And I would like to end this session off again by kind of putting things together. So, would be nice then to have something on here that we can show that yes, all this, the white that was on the model before is gone. Even if this black looks very, very bad up close. Oh, this brush is doing some weird things. Alright, we do have to get the underside of this one. Didn't have to do that on the other because I kind of molded it tight to the skin, but doesn't quite work as well on this. We gotta go all the way, I missed the paint. Gotta go all the way around. And yeah, somehow this session just kind of feels like it flew. I don't know what to say. We get ones like that. Alright, good, we got that part done. Now we're on to the strap. Let's get this strap going. I do see a whole lot of black here, a whole lot of white here, not black, like the opposite. I don't want to see. So let's do that. Get that little touch of white. Alright, don't need to cut in that part, because that's all going to get that black as well. Once again, I'm probably doing this backwards. I should be doing the hand first and then coming back towards this, but just so I have something that's easier to hold in the end. But it worked on the other arm, so I guess we're just going this way. Is what it is. Okay, good. Now this I feel a lot less worse about cutting it against. It's just, if I get a little bit of the darker black on the lighter black, that's not as much of a problem. Every now and again, just to look over and double check this is visible over my hands, blocking the view completely, which is, I think that's probably one of the things I'm most concerned with, is if my hand is blocking your view. Because again, with my glasses off, I can't really see, I don't get a good view of the computer to kind of see what's physically on camera, so I apologize if stuff like that happens, but there's not much I can do about it. Because I can't realize I'm doing something like that until after this whole thing is done and I go and kind of rewatch things again. Alright, so we got that. I'm also not sure on the next project if I show literally everything like I'm doing here, or it's more of kind of like I show a start of like an element, kind of you see how it goes, and just kind of I show kind of more bits and pieces, just to kind of make individual sessions more palatable than these long things. But or we just kind of do, like I said, this one, everyone kind of, you can pop in at the start, pop in the end, and just kind of watch progress that way. If you see an element you like, you want to see more of, you can then watch the entire thing and see how it's done. But for mass appeal, I realize the way I'm doing it right now does not work. Very few people are actually listening to what I'm saying right now, just because it's just the way it is. And I understand that. This is part of the process. All right, just about done. Just about in there. Just gotta get the rest of the glove, get kind of by the fingers, and then life is good. I'll kind of put the whole thing together, and I think right when I turn the camera off, I'll go and while the brush and all that is still out, I'll do a quick coat on the back of the knee pads. It just feels bad doing back of knee pads and then immediately popping the thing on. That I don't need. Let's let things dry a little bit. So, which means I probably should have done that before doing the arms. It would have been dry by then because this stuff dries remarkably fast. But once again, I didn't. So, it is what it is. So we got around there, that's good. Just need to get around this side, cut in around the thumb. And I believe we are golden with this black. Bad phrasing. We were golden when we were painting gold. I can't say we're golden now. That's just kind of all kinds of wrong. I'm not going to say we're blackened either. That sounds even worse. This is still technically a cut in over there, because it is going against a different shade of black. Even if these shades will likely change in the end. I'm hoping next session, if I do try to age this stuff a little, it just doesn't make everything look worse and I have to redo it all again, because it's a pretty decent amount of painting stuff I'd have to do again if it does come out just worse. But I don't know, just everything feels almost just too new. I think that's an issue. You know, the knee pads aren't, the backs of these aren't actually touching her knee. So let's just do it while I have this out. Because I really don't want to leave this paintbrush here, just kind of sitting here for too long. I got gold goop over this somehow. How? How did I do that? Whatever. I don't know how I got gold on here, but that's what multiple coats are for. Cover up dumb stuff like that. I need to watch the video to find out how I got gold on that. I legitimately don't know. Okay, so that's one. Let's get number two. Put it all together. Bim bam bibby bop, done. We in there. And then next time, new stuff. But at least all of this kind of area will be in the books. Okay. Glasses. Let's go wash some of this off. Oh yeah, that turned the water blacker. Actually kind of looks almost greenish somehow. Kind of a greenish, grayish kind of color. Okay, that goes away. Move this out of the way so we have room to put you over here. So let's see how we did. Let us see how we did in the end. So we have you. We have, make sure that's tilted up. Also, I can never find that hole ever. Alright, we have this knee pad, make sure we're bent the right way. That's in there, that knee pad that gets bent that way. That's in there. We're missing kind of a key part. Remember that first thing I did when we first started out here? We have eyes now on our face. which is super helpful. It actually makes it look like a real character. Actually, that really, really does help make this look like a real character. There we go. That hat is now looking very conspicuous, but never mind that. But overall, we're kind of there. It's all debate. I'll debate whether or not to kind of lighten some of this stuff up, or we just kind of keep it, because it's all darker than the concept stuff on the side. It's much darker than that. And I said, it's still, this image is darker than the other one, but we're still darker than that one as well. But it all kind of works together. I think this, the brass, the bronze kind of look, that I want to tone down. I'm going to be adding some white to that on the second coat. I'm going to tone that down off camera. But otherwise, no, we're in there. We are in there. We're about to move on. But we have a character, and I'm happy. So that is where we are. And next time, like I said, I'll make a choice. Either we'll tone it down, or we'll just move on and keep plowing forward. And until then, enjoy.